most amazing information in the world. You're just kind of getting all these awesome guests. It's crazy to me.
I can tell you something. I think I need to tell you the truth now. Can I tell you?
Yes, please. Are you paying them?
Actually, it is what we call divine, how will I call it? It's not connection as such, but it's like an instruction that was given 2 years ago. I had been fasting a lot, but you know my protocol, the way I do my fastings, a lot of breaks. I do it with the short breaks, that I fast. So one time I had a very strong dream. And the dream was like, you are going to be known in the ends of the world. I was like, what? By what? Somebody has come into my dream and is talking to me. You know, we are spiritual people who believe a lot in the spiritual world. So I had started fasting earlier. I had done some of written some books on fast and all those things, but I was not thinking of being known to the ends of the world. That the impact you're going to cause is going to be known to the ends of the world. That's what spiritually I was told. So I've now come to realize this is what he was talking about. These meetings that you're having every now and then about dry fast, because there's nobody taking this thing with the risk involved. There's nobody taking this thing with this zeal. It is you here, it is Dr. Fialov there, it is me here, and some few people who are coming, joining us, Ivana, who, you get it. I don't know if you're getting me, Trevor.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. It's funny. I mean, I have so many complex thoughts about it. And I think that, you know, you obviously are in a very kind of joyful state, pure state to be able to help the world out, because you're obviously not receiving anything and no one's it's all free, you know. We all just love each other to kind of help each other
exactly
physically and mentally, you know. It's just for humanity. And I think that you know, the powers that be are kind of feeling a little bit threatened. That's why control structures are kind of becoming more strong, I feel like, and they're kind of cracking down on a lot of things. And I think that there's no better time for this information than now.
Exactly. And the truth is, there's a system. I was Googling here. I realized that Big Pharma has 2019, 1.2 trillion income. If you're talking about Big Pharma, just for distributing pills. This is a big industry, too big.
It's huge. Yes, it's very big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do, but I think that you know, sometimes you and I are kind of small right now. Like we have a small following, but I really do anticipate it growing. It doesn't matter if it's through me or whatever, but I think that a small ripple effect can go throughout the world and kind of just kind of alter people's perspective on how healing really takes place and how to really find themselves through fasting, in my opinion. So I think it's super valuable. There's so many different things that I wanted to say, but I'll just...
Yeah, it's your time today. You're going to enjoy those so many things.
Yeah,
we have actually started to flow.
And we don't have to go for like forever. We can just do, you know, a short one and then do another one sometime soon. But yeah, I know you already had 2 today, like 1 before this, so don't feel obligated to go like 3 hours, you know.
We don't have a problem. We are very energetic, by the way. So
okay.
I really, today we are going to do it very little special. I think we are going to share our screen. There are some things that if you allow me, I'm going to go to your Instagram, get some things there. You talk about them, something like that. I don't know if you're going to allow me to do that.
So what was your question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I want to go to your Instagram and get something there. I want to share it here.
Yeah, I'm very vulnerable on the Instagram. I kind of share as much as I can. So right now the fast has been broken for like probably 10 days. And so I'm kind of remineralizing. So every morning I kind of put something called shilajit. It's like a Himalayan compost that trees and plants decompose into like a tar structure, and you put it into like hot water. So this is kind of how I'm remineralizing. So this is not coffee, by the way. It's just this compound. So this is something called shilajit. It's something that a lot of Russian fasters recommend in literature, and it's good for like remineralizing.
ग्रुप ये एक दूसरा ग्रुप है फास्टिंग वाला अच्छा उसका भी
Oh, somebody has to mute himself for herself. Please. Let me mute this person. Swati, mute yourself, please.
Yeah.
Everybody mute yourself, please, if you don't have something to ask. Okay. So, Trevor, in between these two fasts, this is 20 and 19 days. We can say how long was this? How long is this time?
That was approximately, so that was April. So I would say, so January 16th is when I broke the first fast, and I started the next fast probably March 27th. So that's pretty much 2 months and 10 days.
2 months, 10 days. Wow. Did you change anything in your diet or something? Because so you're a very active man. You're very, very active. You go surfing, you do so many things.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little too active. I think that what I did differently, I was really happy that I was clean from the previous fasts. And what I did differently is just, I made sure that I entered into it just cleaner. I was a cleaner state, and I made sure I was higher in potassium. And those two things were the main factors. So every single fast I do, I'm just cleaner and cleaner going into it, and it makes all the difference. So yeah, that was pretty much the difference on that.
Did you see? Yes.
Oh, I actually was just thinking about it today. I was like, like you look at the extremes. I always look at the extremes, like, hey, I'm dry fasting, so therefore I know what the body does at a certain point. So like, use me as a guinea pig, So when you're fasting and you feel really, really good, it's because you're really clean. But that goes for when you're actually living your life too, when you're eating, because the cleaner your colon, the better you feel. You're not going to feel lethargic or tired or kind of just like gross, It's because your intestines are not seeping in all this matter that's just stagnant in there, So when you're fasting and your intestines are squeaky clean, you have a very pleasant fast. And so you're not having these kind of distractions from healing.
What are you doing? Can't you back into your house and then you're doing this meditation?
It's not meditation.
Vijayate, please mute yourself. I can't find this person very fast.
Talk.
No, we don't want to be talked yet.
Everybody has to mute themselves, please. I can't find this person.
Frederick, you have to mute everyone.
Let me mute everyone, then Trevor, then you unmute yourself, please, because I think we are going to have a lot of noise here.
Okay.
So this is cleaning, and we have talked about being clean. I really wanted to know the difference. Looking at 20 days and 19 days, you are now more cleaner during this time. How did you feel during this time? Talking about cleanness.
I felt fantastic. I felt really good. The more I dry fast, these long dry fasts, the more I start to trust myself in like a weaker format. If you ever see people in long fasts, they kind of look like, it's not really that easy to like go on walks or like do work. So it's kind of like a faithful thing. Like I can do this, and you're kind of stretching your beliefs on what you're able to do. So every fast you're like, okay, I can accomplish that because I did it before. So it's kind of like I'm being challenged in that area. So if you haven't noticed, like Sat Marga, that one guy you interviewed who's just a monster with fasting, he's always showing himself being active, kind of showing people that it's possible. This is what I'm capable of doing. And that's kind of an important concept to show people. Because it's really hard actually to be active late in the fast. But you have to kind of trust yourself, but also like know when to break when you're being told by your body, and if you're not able to move, that's probably a sign that it's a good time to break.
Wow, got you. At a point, I think we start with this now on the issue of of breaking your fast. You are a little disappointed because I do follow you a little here there. What was the cause of this? Because I felt for you. I really felt for you, bro. I really felt for you.
Yeah, I broke the fast. I was disappointed, and I'm actually have been sad, like a little bit sad since I broke the fast, because I put so much preparation into this and I put so much time into it. Even going 10 days is like a very difficult thing to do. It takes a lot of time, So It's just like I I had the idea because when I get past 10 days, I want to be in nature, and it doesn't matter where I'm at, on the beach, in the middle of the woods, the jungle. And so what ends up happening is like I will go to, like I went to this campground in Asheville, and I ended up going to like the perfectly wrong place, you know. So I was the only person there, and there was really, really strange people staying there. And North Carolina is actually notorious for people that are into all sorts of strange things, and those people were at this campground. So and then there's other aspects to it where I was on a vegetable farm that was utilizing pesticides. So that was being sprayed in the air during the fast. So I'm breathing in like mass amounts of pesticides, and I was like, this is just dumb. I need to actually break the fast and just continue on some other time. So
You did the right thing. You did the right thing, especially on the side of that part of all of them. People doing strange things, they'll get you spiritually because now you're opened in the spiritual world. Your spirit is opened. Yeah, that's what happens when you're fasting. So contacting any spirit, good and bad, is very easy, especially as we know what lives inside you is what you attract. So you find at that time, if some people are doing some obscene things around there, they have now defiled that atmosphere. So you find that you'll be absorbing the negative, call it negative energy. And then the pesticide is now the worst thing. You just did the right thing. That was just instinct. You did the right thing.
Yeah, it's you know, my body it was funny to watch my body. My body was actually discarding the pesticides through my mouth, and that's when I was like, why am I'm actually tasting like a salty amalgamation in my mouth, and I was just like, this is not right. And then it clicked, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually breathing in pesticides. But it was a challenge for me. I think that it was meant to be for me to experience the dark aspect of a spiritual nature. So I experienced a very positive the last fast. Now I experience a very dark one this fast. And I do it for spiritual purposes. So once you pass a certain period of time, like usually like 14 days, I kind of enter into this other dimension where I can literally hear other entities, and I can see people's chakras, and I'm exposed to my spiritual gifts in a more profound way. And I can see the evil in these people, and they weren't really able to kind of like, it was a challenge for me to kind of like make sure my essence was pure, and I wasn't trying to absorb any of their negativity. So that was like the lesson learned, and I was able to see exactly how kind of negativity works spiritually, and that was a very eye-opening experience, like hypnosis and distraction, and kind of like shaving off your thoughts a little bit to make it more of a like an evil frequency, like a more negative frequency. And I wasn't trying to subscribe to that.
Well, and you see, the most interesting part is that spiritual part. Everybody, by the way, I should have told you, the last time we met, people are really kind of following up with the spiritual part of your fast. And people are more interested in the spiritual aspect of the fasting. That's what I'm coming to realize. Actually, me, when I started to fast, that was the real target. That was the real thing. Yeah. But then I realized that, okay, the medical fast comes a little fast. It's the first reason for the fasting. You must have your health. You must have. Then now that spiritual part comes in. So all of us want to hear about this more. We want to hear more about these guardian angels, these frequencies that you could be able to tell this one. You could be able. They're not frequency, but they are called entities, spiritual entities that you can be able to detect them. You can be able to tell. Yeah.
It's very fascinating. And honestly, it's also fascinating that people actually want to hear about the spiritual nature of this, but that's exactly what's available to you. I think that the health aspect is exactly why I pursued it. And I think everyone's obviously interested in that. And I think it's super important to know that aspect to it. But yeah, that's definitely available. The spiritual, it's crazy. Like, so there's also like, there's entities that really don't want you to go any farther with fasting. Like they will try to like kind of, even when you have a dream, they'll kind of like trick you into thinking that you broke the fast, or like try to like do certain things to kind of like put you on a different path. But there's also, you can utilize all these other positive mechanisms, which is like breath and sun and grounding and like prayer and just kind of like thinking that you're absorbing positive energy. It's just like all these other modalities are there to serve you. And that's what I was utilizing. This fast, I was utilizing more energy sources than before. Before, I was just kind of like, oh, the sun is all I need. The air is all I need, the sun and the air. But now I was kind of like open to more energy sources because you're not on food and water. So therefore, you have to depend on these other things as well.
Now, let's talk about these guardian angels. These guardian angels, this is the, the most interesting part of this fasting, this time round.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, the interesting part was like, I was able to kind of more so connect. This is how I view fasting. I view fasting as nothing more than reconnecting with your creator and the planet. You know, so those are your parents. So you're reconnecting with your parents. You have your mother, earthly mother, but then you also have your actual mother. So I mean, like if you reconnect with the earth and God at the same time, it's really just that, putting your phone away, putting all these distractions away, and just being present and enjoying, you know, life and being grateful for it. And that's kind of what it is. And you'll constantly hear voices being like, you know, put the phone aside and spend more time with me. I think we lost our host. Frederick's gone. But yeah, that's pretty much my realization was the pursuit of purification. So you pretty much just have to purifying your body allows you to purify your spirit, in my opinion. And that's kind of what's available to you on a fast.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, but allow me a little minute to get this question from, I want to share the screen and get Trevor.
Okay.
So, are you able to see my screen now?
I'm not sure if I can see your screen.
Can you see it?
Oh, we can't see anything.
Then maybe I'm not going to share. Let's just go on. If it's not working, I'm not going to share that. What I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I'll kind of fill in some space while he's working. One kind of thing that I was working on was I noticed that these prolonged dry fasters, they look a little bit drier. Like that's what I've realized after this fast is I get really dry, and your skin gets really dry. Obviously, you're dry fasting, and it actually takes like a couple weeks to kind of rehydrate your organs and your skin. And when you're dry fasting, your body's utilizing these minerals and it's pulling minerals from your hair, minerals from your body in order to sustain itself. And that's why you see these other fasters are kind of like going gray, you know, because they're not really understanding the mineral replenishment. And I think that that's something I just kind of uncovered, is that you need to really take that seriously after a fast. Because I mean, you're going back to food and water, so therefore external nutrition is back in play, and now you have to put minerals externally as well, so you're not finding it in the air. So it's important to utilize, and that's why I use something called shilajit, and I'll use black molasses a little bit in my morning tea. And so eventually people sometimes say like, did you dye your eyebrows? Like it's kind of like they get darker, or your hair gets a little bit darker because of these compounds, which means you're getting that mineral replenishment again.
Trevor, can I ask you a question about maybe your specifically nighttime when you are asleep? Did you find this place in the camp easier to sleep? And then also the issue of temperatures in this area. Were they too low or?
Yeah, I think that this is definitely a very important question, because there's a reason why I didn't stay in the place I was at, because the temperatures were still manageable, but they were just a little bit too high. And you kind of want like a perfect environment for your fast. You want like just a tad bit of humidity to the air, whether it be in the morning on the dew point, or you want it to really never get above 72 degrees. Because once it gets to a heightened temperature, your body gets hot, and then its fasting becomes a lot more difficult. So you kind of want it to be maximum 72, and at nighttime you want it to be a minimum of like 45 degrees. So that's all Fahrenheit. So you want it to be chilly nights, and you want it to be slightly like just perfect chilly days. You know, you don't want it to be too hot because your body's temperature is already doing its thing. You don't want to alter that too much. And so you won't really go that far in a fast if you're fasting in hot temperatures, unless you're Jesus Christ and you're fasting in the desert and you're just a very strong person.
Yeah, and as you have, there are two questions in my head now. You got out of the fast.
What's that?
Because of you got out of the fast because of 1, 2, 3 reasons. 1, 2 reasons, very strong 2 reasons you have given us. Though you are in your mind, the way you had already set yourself, you are to go for a longer time than that. How do you now recompensate? How do you now tell self, okay, maybe another day? At that point, that's the most challenging thing, because there's a part of you that is telling you, you have not yet reached the target you wanted. So another part is like, no, we can't push it more than this. This is enough.
So
how did you balance that? How do you balance at that point? It's very important because some people might push themselves to the end and they hurt themselves, because it's like wisdom in action.
Yeah. That's a good question. I can probably tell the story briefly just to kind of get people on the imagery of it all. And pretty much what I did was prepare for this fast. I colon cleansed, did the potassium loading, and then I made sure that I did 9 days dry fast while I'm working. I can move around for 9 days. And then I was going to embark on my road trip to this campground in Asheville, North Carolina. So I did that exactly as planned. And I'm there, I'm set up camp, my bed's all made in my tent, and like I have nature around me. And then by day 11, I was like, okay, sweet, day 11 has come. That's exactly when you feel like mentally pure, spiritually, you're kind of having breakthroughs, and now you're kind of like healing in a very, very kind of stronger way. And on day 12, everything kind of exacerbates if you're kind of healing from anything. So that's kind of when things kind of peak. And then after that, it's kind of like cleanup duty. So eventually I realized I was in a wrong place on day 11. So now I'm there for another 8 days, knowing that I'm in the wrong place around these evil. Honestly, I'll say the word now, is like they're into witchcraft. They're practicing witchcraft. They're doing like seances, like 200 feet from me, and like kind of like even trying to hex me. Doing weird things like cursing at me from afar. I'm like, I don't even know these people. That's it's a very strange environment, but there's this beautiful river. And so eventually what ended up happening is on day 15, I started hearing other spirits around me, kind of observing them as well. And it was kind of like interesting to hear their conversations about these evil people on the campground. Very low vibration people, very kind of like just looking for just separation from God and love, and they also wanted to kind of, they wouldn't go anywhere near me. It was just kind of like, they kind of knew that they wouldn't mess with me. So eventually I got to the point where it starts getting kind of challenging at like day 18. And I was like, yeah, I'm chilling. I'm just going to go to, definitely 25, 27 days. And then it clicks to me that I'm actually been breathing in pesticides this entire time. And then at that moment, I'm like, since I just had that realization, now I put something over my mouth and nose, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm physically compromised because I can't really move around too much. I'm kind of like doing slight movements. So for me to uproot my camp and go someplace else is a very tall order. And also I'm breathing in these pesticides. It's definitely a time to break the fast. Like I actually thought about going to a different place because I was so stubborn. I was like, I'm just gonna make it work. I'm just gonna go in my car. I'm gonna go close to a waterfall and just kind of like chill for the remainder days. And I was like, this is just stupid. In order to energize, I need to break my fast. And so I got some water and I kind of sipped on it. I let my body revive a little bit, and I got to my, I pretty much almost like barely got to my car. I got into my car, sat in my car at 2:30 in the morning, and I'm making a decision at 2:30 in the morning. So I'm breaking my fast in my car, very not the way I planned. And then I'm like, this just needs to happen. I have the rest of my life to do this. I can just chill, and this is just stupid to expect to reach my goals in this very toxic environment. So So eventually I went to this like hotel parking lot to kind of sleep for a remainder of 3 4 hours, sorry. And then I re-energized the drive home in this crazy state. And it wasn't yeah, so that's pretty much why I broke the fast. It's just the pesticides in the air and just like the toxic environment near me. But maybe next time. The next fast is going to be far from now because I want my body to rebuild and revive. So it's going to be like in October or November. So I'm just gonna fill up and just kind of just enjoy life until then, and let my stem cells kind of do their thing that I've instigated during the fast.
At the 11, this story you wrote here, you said you read an entire book. I read an entire book today under the trees. Tell us where did you get this energy from? And even to concentrate. Concentration, sometimes very difficult. Very difficult. I want to give you an example that I was doing some online things, coursing online. And then I'd been scoring excellent, 90 or 100, 90, 100. Then I got into the fast. On day 4, I realized I scored below 70, below the pass mark. And I think that is because of the brain fog and all those other things. So tell me, at day 11, you're able to read the whole book. How many pages? How many pages were there?
There is about 300 pages in the book.
Hey.
I honestly, I wish everyone can experience this feeling, but like everyone is super, like a lot smarter than they think they are. And like I always forget this, but like if I have the intention to write a book or get anything done, I know that I'm worthless for the first 9 days, maybe even 10 days. But then for some reason at 11 days, your brain is so like void of inflammation and you're becoming like your true self, and you're just like temporarily like a genius. You can read a book super fast. You can do anything. You have all these business ideas. You can get a lot done at day 11. It's just it's crazy. So I just kind of just kept going through the book, and I was page after page, and I was like, I'm gonna get this book done in like a single day. But yeah, I wrote down like numerous business ideas too. It's just kind of like the amount you can get done in such a short period of time is just jaw dropping. I can definitely see why all these historical figures who fasted have got so much done in just a very short period of time when they're fasting.
Wow, good. And they say that when you're fasting, your environment, first of all, it starts with it changes you, and then the environment around you. So you realize that the people that are around you, especially family, when you come from they see a totally changed person, especially with that one would have been easier if we got to one of your family members. They'll say that you are different in your emotions, very different from how you are. How do I call this one now? You are the way you receive messages, the way you become very calm. You and also the issue of joy. You have a lot of joy. You are light, something like that. So I don't know if there's anything like that they have told you that they have seen a change in you. Is there anything like that? And your energy just rises so much. I don't know if you after the fast. I don't know if you've seen any changes like that.
Yeah, you definitely do. You find yourself, if you guys haven't noticed, like on like day 3 of people's dry fast, they start speaking like they understand the answers to the world, you know? So imagine what happens when you're deep into a fast. You're like, you start talking to people as if like you just saw God, you know? It's just kind of like, this is what you need to do. Oh my gosh, like this is the answer to life. And sometimes, you know, my family, I have a family of 6 kids, 6 brothers and sisters. And so they've all come to be comfortable with these fasts. And so they now fast as well. You know, at first they wanted to call an ambulance and be like, get this guy to the hospital. He's lost his mind. He's starving. But now they're like, we understand it. Wow, he might actually be onto something. And so it's, yeah, for me, it's kind of like just patience. I don't need to like prove anything. It's just kind of like just leading with love and just chilling and enjoying myself. I find that when you're in nature, you find that the feeling of being in nature is kind of like more like you're in an ocean. It's like you're like in an ocean of energy that's like very present. It's like a very present moment, and it's hard to really describe, but you're kind of seeing the beauty in the smallest things. And I kind of like to phrase it this way, where God's like, this is my creation, don't you enjoy it? Like, enjoy me, you know? It's just like we're enjoying this whole thing where there's not really any dependencies at all, because you're abstaining from absolutely every single thing, you know? The only thing you can do is pretty much just be naked. Now you have nothing at all. It's just like now you don't depend on any single thing. You're just enjoying, you know, this present reality. And there's so many different preconditions we have that we have to kind of discard in order to realize that, whether and it's kind of personal self-realizations or external, you know. But yeah, that was the lesson of this fast, is like how distractions are exactly working in my life and how distractions are working in the world to kind of keep people off the loving frequency that we're supposed to be on.
And in particular, what will you say is the difference between this fast and the other, the Guatemala fast? You know, Guatemala is what brought us. The first day, yeah. What's the difference in these two fasts?
Yeah, the first fast was kind of like a yin and yang. It was like lightness versus darkness. The first fast was so the first location I happened to choose happened to be on what they think Atlantis used to be. So I was fasting in a place where it was already a very spiritual civilization, and apparently there's like ley lines, which is like earth energy points on this location. And so I was feeling electrocuted, just like an abundance of positivity. I was crying out of joy. I'm not really even a crier, you know, so I'm crying basically just out of just kind of pure bliss. And just it was like kind of like the first time you go to like a roller coaster theme park. You're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. But the second time it's kind of like different. But I understand the like how God I understand God's presence a little more. You know, it's kind of like just chill out, be calm, be patient, just enjoy my creation. You know, just stop, just relax, and just stop depending on all these other things. So it's like an abundance of positivity and just kind of joyful bliss. And the second one was more so understanding the distraction of darkness and how it can really shift your mind into believing something that's not necessarily true, you know, just like a whole bunch of like lies, and realizing that you know, keeping things very disciplined. So I mean, I'm gonna use this example a lot, but like Jesus was in like the Essene gospel, the Essene group, where he they had very like few limitations. Like they had these discipline rules. Like we don't sacrifice anything. We don't deal with money. You know, we wear white. You know, like they understood that like you need to keep things very simple in order to stay on track. And because if you don't, it's a slippery slope. Like all of us must know, like if you have like one cocktail, that leads to other things that you probably shouldn't have done. If you eat something that you really aren't proud of, your self-esteem goes down, and it leads to other things you shouldn't have done. So it's kind of like keeping things very, very simple seems to be an important part of this reality, I think, to kind of stay on path and not be kind of hypnotized by darkness, in my opinion.
Wow. And many people do say that, or if you compare the physical part of it, physiology of the fast, you find that the fast is very vigorous. Now, like we are talking about this is 19 days. 19 days is quite long, my brother.
Yeah.
And then the other one was 20 days. Did you find that it was easier during this 19, or are these environmental issues made this other fast to become very difficult or dense or a problem? Could you see that there's a difficulty in the second fast, or it was easier in your body now?
So yeah, it was even easier for a few different reasons. For me, it was easier, you know, even though I was breathing in pesticides, that shows you how much better I was prepared for. So I cleaned my colon a lot more efficiently, made sure that anything coming out was clear, not even yellow or brown. So anything coming out was clear. I know it sounds gross to talk about, but that's very important. I also was able to utilize other energy sources this next time. I was open to other energy sources. And the third was pretty much just I kind of forgot the other one. It was just pretty much just being just kind of like in a relaxed form, and just kind of like being able to be chill. So what was the question again? I'm kind of trying to think of the.
If there was if you found that it was easier doing this 19 compared to the first 20 days, the one that you did 20 days.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not
So
forgetting
yes,
the challenges. Mhm.
that's what I was gonna say was yeah, like really understanding which breathing techniques work for you. Because sometimes you can do breathing techniques that elevate your heart and you're thinking that it's good for you, but it's not. Like for instance, sometimes box breathing can not calm you down. So for me, it really is just a matter of getting the stagnant air out of my lungs. So it's very important to actually be in air that's circulating at all times. You don't want to be inside a home. That's why people go into nature. You get fresh air being blown by your face all the time. There's vitality in that. But there's a reason why old people like die in their sleep, because they're constantly in a closed environment where they're breathing in their carbon dioxide over and over again. It's kind of like wearing a mask, but you're inside a closed environment. You want fresh air being blown by you, and you see the value in that when you're deep into a fast. So within a matter of like 4 to 6 hours, all of your blood has the ability to pass by your lungs. So your lungs are actually like your fourth kidney. If your two kidneys, your skin is your third kidney, as they say, and your lung is your fourth kidney. So when it passes by, you have the ability to actually detoxify your blood by letting your blood pass through your lungs and detoxifying your blood through your breath. So when you get to these later days, 13, 14 days, some people find roadblocks because their heart has palpitations and it's kind of like, okay, time to break. Usually it's maybe they're toxic, or they actually do not know how to breathe correctly and kind of like detoxify their blood. There's not enough detoxifying mechanisms that are occurring fast enough. You could have a surplus of fat in your bloodstream that you just don't know how to exhale it out. People are just like chilling and they don't know how to utilize that. And so they'll never go to the deep depths of dry fasting. It's just, so for me, it comes down to the simplicity of just having one long inhale and then inhaling it out your nose, actually, just as simple as that, like getting all the air out of your lungs and just calming down. Because sometimes you can have these fears enter your mind and it'll alter your physical state. And you'll also have an elevated heart rate when your body's actively trying to fix something. So your heart will elevate based on it fixing, a condition that you might have. So kind of assisting that process. And not to digress, but a lot of times people like to cool themselves down when they feel hot, when their body actually feels hot during a fast. But your body's doing that for a reason. It's like you're preventing your body from doing what it wants to do, and it sucks to stay hot. But there's a point in time when you finally cool down, when the body is finished with its work.
Trevor, there's something I still want to hear here. Day 18, day 18. It's still not coming out clearly. Let me read for you that part I really want to hear. My thoughts can be very calm, but also I will be completely aware of other characters in my DNA or karma. Highly intelligent characters that are all portraying different ideals for me. It's actually in a beautiful thing, like 15 guardian angels all having active dialogue with me. I can shut it off whenever I'd like. So that's the part I really want to know. How do you know that skill of you are now listening to the spiritual side, and then sometimes you just shut it, you tune in, turning the tunes, something like that.
Yeah, that goes to show you, whenever someone tells me to be open to something, I'm like, okay, cool, shut up. I'm always open to things. But in reality, there is something to being open to things, literally, energetically. You can't see it, but you're just available to it. So when I first started dry fasting, I wasn't really open to spiritual nature. I was like, give me the physical benefits and then let me be done with it. And then there's like a transition that happens when you kind of trust the process. You feel comfortable in a fast, and that's when you kind of become open to things without knowing it. And then you're more open to receiving these kind of energy sources, whether it be channeling. Like sometimes I don't even want to channel, but these voices and spirits are like communicating, not even to me. I can just hear their communications just happening, and there's even a point where because the universe wants to help you. The universe is happening for you, not to you. So like these angels and God, they just want you to heal as well. They want your purification as well. So you can just, it's just nothing but love around you. So utilizing this energy and just kind of like tapping into it is always available for you. Darkness is very small and weak compared to that. But yeah, but that was kind of the case. So sometimes, like just a brief story, like I was witnessing these crazy people doing like their evil seances, like 300 feet away, and I was witnessing this couple in a different dimension. They were speaking about them, like, and it was kind of like, ooh, look at them, like that's so weird. One person's like so tall, that witch like did this thing, and I'm like listening to him. I'm like, I can hear you, and I said that out loud, and then like, and the girl was like, he said he can hear us, and he's like, he can't hear us, he's a human, and I was like, no, I can hear you, and she was like, he just said it again, he can hear us, and I know this sounds crazy for me to say, and he's like, he can't see us though, like, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a picture in your area, and so I did that, and she's like, and she said, I don't like that he just took a picture of us. I don't like that he just took a picture of us at all. Like, that is not cool. That is not, she went on about it for like 30 minutes. And I was just like, it was so interesting interacting with somebody who's also watching this witchcraft type of stuff. And I was just like, I'm gonna sound crazy when I tell this to Frederick. But it's just like weird things like that. Or like you can have a dream and you wake up from it and you're convinced of a concept that you believed, and you wake up and you kind of don't know where you are sometimes. And then I'll be tricked, and I'll come to the truth, and then all of a sudden I'll hear like a little laugh, as if like I was kind of manipulated in that moment. Like I'll hear like a laugh that is not my own, in like another dimension. It's kind of like there's little trickery type of, and honestly, I wish that we would talk to Sat Marga about that. 'Cause like, do you understand these like gestures, these trickery people that mess with you? It's strange.
I think that's what they call telepathy or something, yeah? Where you are not in contact, you are not physically talking to these people, but you can read their minds. You can hear them very loud and clear. Is that what you're saying?
You can.
Yeah. That is the power of fasting. That's what our fasting changes us to be. At a point, I think. And another thing that is coming very clearly in this conversation is that at this point, I'm feeling, it's just my feeling. This was just an experience also for you to know how powerful, as a person who now is in light and in love of God, you are over these other darkness powers. It's like they were there by not accident. It's like they were there by plan, without spiritually. Yeah. That's why they were there. These witches, and these are the people who are you are able to hear them, able to talk, and it's like you are exchanging with that path that has been created. Dr. Philip told us that I think it's last week. He was also talking about sometime they reached 9 days, and everybody would read each other's mind where they were. All of them were in one cave or some place, and everybody's anything that is in your head. This person knows, this other person knows, this other person knows. So this is the power of fasting. And this is what fasting actually changes us to spiritual being that you are created to be. And that's and I also think this is what creates this connection. It is very easy for people who do dry fast to connect. Actually, we are family. We are family. It is very easy to connect, Trevor, with you. It's very easy to connect with everybody else who is fasting. The connection is very, 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 very simple, very easy, very easy. We are family. Yeah. I don't know if people have questions. I want to open up for people to have questions, because the Sienna Songbird has something that she wanted to ask. Then I'll be coming back with my orderly questions now. I'll be coming back 1, 2, 3, like that, about 5 of them. Then maybe Trevor will tell us something more, and we'll be closing.
Yeah. Oh, are you asking a question right now?
Hi.
Yeah, Sienna had a question.
Hi.
Hi, Trevor.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, good.
And I'm Annie.
This is Annie. Yeah, we're in North Carolina, and wanted to wish everyone a happy Beltane, happy May Day. We're actually like making a bunch of food and having a beautiful gathering today. A lot of friends and family to celebrate the fertility of this beautiful season. And it's really good to be here live with you all and with you, Trevor. And congratulations on being marked as important enough to bother, and be tested. We're definitely over here like laughing a lot about the sort of plants and
the tricksters,
the Heyoka trickster energy testing you. But I had a question about, I saw you mention at some point that you do liver cleansing, or maybe you did in the past and now you don't need to anymore. I had followed Andreas Moritz protocol quite a number of times, and then also the Wilking just Epsom salt flushes as well. And then I follow Medical Medium a lot of stuff, and basically also Alice talks about there's kind of like people who's Dr. Morse is like really anti-sulfur, and some people like the magnesium sulfate is really helpful in healing, and I'm just getting kind of confused or conflicting information, and wanted to know where you kind of stand on the Epsom salt thing and its relation to liver cleansing.
So I think Epsom salt, if I'm not mistaken, is nothing more than I think it's a form of magnesium.
It's magnesium sulfate. Yeah.
Magnesium sulfate, yeah. So this is kind of how I look at it, and it's different because you're pulled in two different directions. And I think it comes down to like whether salt is really good for you or if it's bad for you. But to kind of give you like a general answer, like we came from the earth, 4.5 billion years it took for us to kind of million years to be birthed from this earth. So now we're humans walking on the earth. But like the largest body on the earth is really salt water, So when you go into the ocean, you feel replenished after a fast. And it's a very salty substance that you actually feel, you're getting all these minerals, and what do you know? You feel really amazing. So I think that we also are electrical beings where salt is a conductive thing. So when I'm going late into a fast, I feel electrocuted, and sometimes I feel like that is a kind of important thing to have. And also like ton of fairly high level nutritionists will say that it's essential because you sweat out salt. But I think that like for instance, if you look at like a raw fruitarian, they usually have kind of like stringy hair, and they kind of have like a little bit like of bags under their eyes. And there's just kind of I feel like once you add a little sustenance, and I could be wrong with this is just my opinion, once you add a little bit of sustenance, like a little tiny bit of healthy salts, and I know Alice doesn't believe in this at all, so we conflict on this, like, I think that you start getting more strength to your hair, your nails become stronger, and you get more connectivity to your body. So I think that the reason why I don't feel faintish on my fasts is because I'm also utilizing a mechanism that's Satmarga. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Satmarga is like this monster in fasting. He's just did 51 days dry fasting, and he loves salt flushes. He's obsessed with these things. And so that is one thing I did my last fast. I was like, I'm going to do a salt flush again, and you're kind of inundating your body with a surplus of salt and kind of filling your salt stores, especially potassium, and you don't feel faintish the entire fast. And a lot of people have issues with that when they fast. So it's kind of like maybe the body does want this, it certainly dries the body out when you do a salt flush. So I want to say that it's a clear-cut answer, but I think too much salt is bad, and certain salts are very bad for you. But I think that I don't think it hurts. I think that the long-term effects of actually getting your liver flushed out is more beneficial than getting a short shock of Epsom salts. So that's how I kind of view it. I can ramble on forever about that, but that's kind of the general gist.
No, that's really good. And where I'm at with salts too is definitely like the magical salt properties that are in like celery and greens, you know, are still seem really key for me at this point. Did you do a certain number of liver flushes before you decided, like, are you still on any protocol, or do you feel like your liver was fully clean?
So now I've kind of transitioned to like intuitive eating. So now that I understand if my colon is clean, that I understand if my body is healthy, then I'll eat according to that, or I won't eat according to that. So for instance, today, like I like doing like enema cleanses Sunday morning. Not, it's a little too much information, but I like feeling very clean all Sunday and all juice fast all Sunday. And just to kind of feel like very mentally available for this interview, you know, for instance. That's why I trust that process so much, you know. So clean intestines, clear thoughts. So it's good to get the gallstones. I'm not sure if you experienced gallstones leaving your body when you did a liver flush, but you did? Okay.
Yeah, they're almost, the last one I had very few though. So I think it might be getting down there.
So when you fast, you deplete your liver of glycogen, and you're kind of transitioning into ketosis onto a different energy source. So when you deplete your liver of that, your liver gets the rest. And so when I first started dry fasting, I'd fear a pain in my liver, and I realized I trusted the process and realized it was healing. I used to feel pain when I eat and drank certain things before I started dry fasting. Something was obviously wrong. I had a fatty liver, or there's some kind of toxicity to it. My point is this, is that dry fasting healed my liver based on just doing it consecutively. So that is also a detoxifying thing you can do other than liver fasting. Liver flushing is just fasting.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Did we communicate on Instagram, by the way? Are you the Sienna? And
yeah, we were the ones that invited you to our place to be surrounded by good spirits, hopefully.
I know you guys probably could have changed my entire trajectory. I really appreciate that. I was very close to doing it too. You seem like a very positive person. I was like, damn, I should probably, I don't know, not say yes to strangers on Instagram, but you seem very, very nice. Like we have a review to show about.
Still welcome anytime.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'll probably take you up on that eventually.
Oh, we can understand if you'd never want to fast in North Carolina again, though.
Yeah. I don't like writing off anything. I need to make the mistake twice before I really write it off. So
nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. Almost.
Trevor, I'm working on a place here in Kenya, so most of you will be coming this side. If you don't go to Russia, you'll be coming in Kenya. There's a place actually. I did just to show you. I think maybe I'll be able to show you this one, where next to the lake. So we have. I'm planning that people will be coming, and then during the morning hours, the time that there's a lot of evaporation, we go and do some kind of in the boat and stay there in the lake and we absorb that moisture. It's freshwater lake. Yeah, absorb the moisture. When the sun has now become a little strong, maybe at 9 a.m. we go back into the forest where we hide ourselves with our tents. So that is the plan. I wanted to show you, but I don't know, my screen sharing is not coming out clearly. Anyway, thank you so much. But the other thing that that I really wanted to ask, I don't know if somebody else has a question before I can ask this one. You see how I'm feeling, Trevor. It's like you have done fractional fasting. The only difference is that the time is a little very long, very long, because we are talking about 20 and 19 days. But in between the months, from what we are now learning from Dr. Finalov, it takes sometimes 2 months for a patient to go back to the fast. And you know, his fast is between 9 and 11. Then the patient can wait a maximum of 2 months. Then again, they go for the next phase of the fast. So according to the information you're giving me, and what now we know, it's clear that you have done a fractional fast now. So this one of yours is now 19 plus 20. 19 plus 20 comes to how many days now? Is it 39, almost 40 days, according to his counting? So can we go back to the first meeting? Have you now totally healed yourself from these issues that the issues of parasite. People also liked that in the last video. People really wanted more of the parasite thing.
Oh yeah, I'm that's kind of like either you get this or you don't. You know, a lot of doctors will talk about certain conditions, and I'm like just thinking like this person does not know that they have parasites, and they probably won't realize it for many years. You know, it's just kind of sad, and they can just resolve it so quickly with fasting. But yeah, I think that yeah, I did. I resolved it in a crazier fashion than you even discussed. I was doing 15-day, and I would only break for 3 days, and then I'd do another 15-day dry fast, and then I'd break for 3 days, and then do another 15-day dry fast. So it's kind of like I wasn't even waiting 2 months. I was only waiting 3 days. And that's kind of like more of a protocol that requires supervision. And this is not medical advice because it's intense, but that's essentially what worked for me. It's very intense and it's very hard to undergo. But
please, let's go back there. I
yeah,
know many people have questions there. So this is 15 days, 3 days rest. I first saw it in this Indian guy. Do you remember? I first saw that protocol in an Indian guy that was being interviewed by a certain lady. I don't remember their names now. But then I saw the 15, rest 3 days, again 15, rest 3 days. And this is a guy that was healing cancer, was working on cancer. I think he did them 4 of them. He did 4 of them. How about your case? How many days did you do? How many you did for 15 days? How many times?
I did it 4 times.
Yeah,
I know.
you have never told me anything like that. It's the first time I'm hearing it. I think last time we were trying to get that information, but we were mixed. You are so much excited with the 20 days, so we didn't get this other information.
Yeah, it's kind of a, you know, there's thousands of different parasites, probably even millions of different type of parasites that all kind of act differently. They can replicate very fast. So sometimes, even if you take only a week off, they've already repopulated back to the condition they are usually at. So this is actually a really important concept. So these people who juice fast, they think that they're actually like, they're doing something great for their body and their minds, and it's great to juice fast. I juice fast just normally in my life. But like, and they think that they're experiencing detox symptoms 3 years down the road. Like, no, you're maintaining the viral population in your body. You're not killing anything off. You're just kind of making less symptoms for yourself. And they kind of expect a cure to happen just any random day. And some parasites you can cure with juice fasting. There's the weaker ones, but like you kind of need to go the distance with it. And the good news is there is a cure. The bad news is that it's a hardcore one. You know, like it's just, you have to work up to it. You level up. You do 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, break it, you know, and just kind of work your way up so that you trust the process to the point where you can go that far. So a lot of people are like, you can fast and you're kind of empowering these parasites. They're figuring out how to survive long. The thing is, like, autophagy is just too powerful. Like, they're gonna die. Like, it's the body's mechanism. They're living inside you, and if you're starving and have autophagy going after them at the same time, you're gonna F them up. They're gonna die. So you shouldn't be afraid of, you shouldn't have any fear of what's living inside you. Just know that there is a way. So for instance, I did the 15 days, 3-day break, 15 days, 3-day break. And then it was hardcore. The last one, I was kind of underweight, but at that point I did 3 15-day fasts, and that's really hard to do. And so I was like, I gotta do this last one. And my heart was doing well, and I was like, sweet. But the thing is, not to digress, but like you'll feel like pretty much completely good after 15 days. You'll feel like that the job is done. But the thing is, if you have even a little residual parasites within you, they're gonna breed. They're good at breeding and repopulating. They want to live inside the host. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. Like, people find kind of progress when they do cascade fasting when they have tumors, but they're doing too little. They're like, hey, we got progress. But the thing is, you have to go farther in order to really dissolve it completely. And that's the whole goal, is removing blockages throughout the body, some of which you don't even know exist.
And at this point, you were totally parasite free. No symptoms, no nothing. They are totally gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that I know that even before I go get my blood tests, to kind of prove it. I know because I'm constantly living with the symptoms, so I know exactly how they respond to certain foods, and I know exactly how the viscosity of my saliva. I just know when I'm inhabited by other things, and that's why I kind of really don't like when people say there's no such thing as disease. It's all in your mind. I'm like, okay, well, how about you just deal with the disease that I just had, and then you tell me otherwise. It's just kind of like there's some parasites that are super powerful, and you think that's of the mind. Like, sure, yeah, sure, it's of the mind, but you're also breaking out in rashes throughout your body. I guess my mind is making me break out in rashes all over my body and making me, bedridden. So I guess that my mind is just so negative that I'm just, rashing out everywhere. It just kind of makes me mad sometimes when people say that when they're obviously doing okay and they obviously don't have anything currently. But yeah.
And these 15 days, this one is just blowing my mind, because according to me, 15 times 3, that is a 45 days. Plus those 3 days that you are resting, those rehydration, those are not really eating time. They are still part of the fast. So we say 45 plus 6. Well, those are 3 days of resting, 6. So it means you are in 51. Yeah. 45, 51 or something. Those are total fast. To me, that's total fast. Because during the 3 days, what were you rehydrating on?
This is even during a time, like right now, I know more than I ever have known. But this is even during a time when I didn't know as much as I know now. So I didn't really even know how to, like, I was eating foods that were cleansing, but I wasn't really doing any enemas. Like I was kind of doing this slightly without as much information as I have now. Like I hydrated perfectly. I got as much coconut water as I possibly could. I ate a bunch of fruits, and then I would actually, I would eat enough fruits and enough sustenance to kind of get me back to a certain weight level. So the weight level that I wanted to be at was 77 kilograms, 172 pounds, because I know that during a 15-day fast, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. So I'm going to get down to the brink of 120 pounds. And I don't like getting below 120 because then I'm kind of like too frail. It's just like, that's kind of like my brink. So as long as I understand this, where I can afford 50 pounds, that was my logic. And then I am able to take these parasites into autophagy and lower the viral count. So on a first 15-day fast, I would lower the viral count to maybe 5%. So the population of the parasites would be like 5%. So the next dry fast, it pretty much goes to 0, maybe 1%. And so now imagine the third dry fast, it's at 0. I pretty much have the full cure. And then the fourth dry fast is just cleanup. It's just kind of, so my body is understanding this process the farther I go into it. It's just a matter of hydration. Some people can be very stupid about not hydrating and proper. They get too obsessed with dry fasting where they just don't know how to like break it and just like there's a time and a place. You're utilizing dry fasting. Now there's a time to hydrate and reinvigorate the body so that you can go back into it. Because we're not breatharians here. We're actually, there's a method to a madness. So we're actually trying to cure something here. But if you're a breatharian, obviously there's nothing can be inhabiting inside you. You're just, you're mucus free, you're disease free. And that I actually have another theory about that as well, but I'll go into it later
on. Go to it, there's no problem. Let's talk about it. I'm just enjoying this time. You see, this is like it's a family meeting. Let's say the truth.
Yeah, you keep saying that.
So we learn from each other. We give each other's experiences, what you have gone through. Do you want to go through it now, or I go to the next question maybe?
I love it.
I would love to hear his ideas about breatharianism, Trevor. I would like to see what your opinion is between the difference of steady dry faster like Satmarga and you, and a breatharian like Elitam. I would love to.
Yeah, I think that's very fascinating question. I think that Elitam is is like my favorite person in the entire world. I think at first I was like, there's no way this guy does this. I mean, he seems kind of like has too much vitality. And then he really isn't that good at Instagram. So I would really recommend going to his YouTube page, which is Prana TV, and just listening to this guy talk. You can just tell he's just high energy. He's the real deal. I'm not sure if he drinks water at all. You never really know with these people. But I think that like this is the kind of the more powerful concept was it shouldn't be a difficult transition. And this is something that he tries to bring home a lot. It shouldn't be like you being sluggish and then like laying in bed, then all of a sudden you're breatharian. It doesn't really happen like that. It happens more so like you try fast 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week, every single week, your body expects it. And then all of a sudden your body's like, okay, we're doing this again. And then you do 3 days a week. You know, it's a slower process where you're not really experiencing like lethargic behavior or anything like that. It's like you transition into breatharian, because that's when people can run into like these physical difficulties when they're like not able to move, and they think that that's just normal, and then their heart stops, you know, and that's kind of like when people can get really dumb about this whole process. So it's just what it comes down to is like doing an easy transition where you're kind of like training your body systematically, and then you transition your energy sources. So there's like a perspective shift where it happened for me, like where you're kind of like actually have to utilize these other energy sources for sustenance, you know, like, oh my God, I cannot wait for the sunrise, please. And then when the sun comes, you just want to cry. You're like, I feel so much energy from this. Your body becomes a solar panel. Like you can't even get sunburn. You just turn darker. Just like you do when you're a kid. You're like, I used to get so dark when I was a kid. But like your body's a solar panel and you pretty much get as much as you can. And I don't really like to stay in the sun too much because it's too much of a temperature increase, but you want to utilize the air, you know, when you utilize all these different energy. And what you're doing is you're kind of, you're letting in as much of God's creation as possible in the healthiest way. You know, there's no dependencies, and you're kind of letting in different energy sources. And that's the transition to breatharianism. And it's a leap of faith. It's a difficult transition, but I think it's one that eventually we all will do, maybe in 1,000,000 years, maybe 1,000 years. It's going to be a necessity.
Yes, the science of breatharianism or pranic living. This is one thing that I totally have no understanding of it. I'm still, if there's something that I'm doing a lot of research over, is this pranic living. And I've also realized that these people are very, how do you call it? They are guarding this information so much. Because even a lot of I watched one of his videos, like so many of them don't want to come on the limelight. They don't want to come on the videos, the mainstream media. They are hiding themselves, and they are also hiding themselves with the information. I don't know if somebody has any book or any whatever. If you leave all this, is that because there's a time we had this guy is called Vadim, and he was telling us that the process takes about 47 times 7, 49 days to totally turn into a breatharian. But he could not tell us more than the second week. He only told us the first week. Then the second, and he was like, oh, why do you want to go to the second week if you have not even started with the first week? So it's like, it's very guarded. I don't know if people pay. I don't know. It's not like this dry fast. Your dry fast were just sharing. Everybody can just talk about it easily. Share your experience. But the pranic living, I'm still trying to find. We have tried to get Eliatom through myself. There are 2 other sisters here. One person even knows him. Was camping in their area in India, but not in their area, in their camp. But he's not responding. He's not responding. So we are still working on it. Yeah, we are still working on it. Maybe one time we'll get the truth. Just knowing it is okay. Sometimes we may not be able to practice it now. At this time, the information we have very well about now is dry fast. We just have almost everything now about dry fast. But this one of pranic living, we are still going to try and find out here and there. I don't know if somebody else wants to say something or Ask a
Can I say
question.
something?
Trevor.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Mm.
I want to ask Trevor, in his experience, what is the goal of this Breatharianism as a whole? Why do you want to live on energy? Because as Philonov said in the previous call, even Jesus and the other high consciousness teachers didn't live their lives on prana or on energy, but they had a short period of time where they fasted, and they fasted for some reason, not for just to show anything special, but they had a mission on this earth, and then they lived as normal people. So why is this desire and so high interest in this prana living or Breatharianism?
I think that it's fascinating to me that it's a possibility, and I'm not even sure if it's a desire of mine to be a breatharian. I think that Jesus was fasting a lot more than people think. I mean, he did the 40 days in the desert, which I think was dry, and I think that it's to the point where for me, I think that like it's so dense. There's so much information. There's so much depth when I'm dry fasting that I'm kind of downloading all this wisdom. So for instance, if I get to like a certain amount of days, time slows down drastically, and then my perspective gets a lot clearer at the same time. So one day feels like 10 days, and I'm able to kind of like download wisdom in these states. So I think that there's a possibility that I might transition to breatharianism eventually, but right now I'm not. So I can't really speak to that. I think that I don't know. I'm not sure how much. I think that Jesus fasted more than people think, and I'm kind of uncovering exactly what he did. Sometimes I feel like his miracles were merely just people following him and fasting alongside him. They're like, oh, I removed parasites. Praise you, God. For removing these parasites. You're conducting these miracles. So I think that
Trevor, let me interject a little. There's a point you have said there that some people following Jesus, and then they were even fasting themselves. There's a point in the Bible, I can't remember the verse very fast now, but I'm going to get it, where he fed people after 3 days. I don't know if you remember that miracle of feeding people after 3 days. He was feeding them because they had followed him without food for 3 days. Yeah. So I resonate with you. I'm just concurring with you. That's right.
Yeah, I think that, but that's also the benefit of it too. So even Elaton will talk about these kind of mini miracles he'll do. Like sometimes he'll do like some kind of magnetism type of thing, and it's not really ever on camera, but I feel like you become like a mini manifester. Like you learn how to manifest like God, like a lot more. Like you get a lot more ground. So if you're eating and drinking, you can understand manifestation, but it's a lot more exponential when you're fasting, and you're able to utilize it more because you're taking in these other energy sources, and you're able to kind of redirect them for these manifestations. That's kind of like one of the benefits of it. Praying and fasting is like one of the best ways to manifest in your life. So imagine doing like an extended fast. You're manifesting like crazy to the point where there is a pot where you can actually walk on water, possibly. As crazy as that sounds.
Yes. The thoughts have started to flow because there's a guy. Also, she's called Alice or somebody. There's this lady that has a pranic lifestyle coaching or things like that. But people pay for those services. She also talks about light food, not taking a lot of food. You see, with this lifestyle, it's not just fully. Some of them are not fully. Not taking solid food totally. They somehow take light food as they do cleaning. And she was talking about using green tea and light food. They insist on light food, not dense food. And also realize that there are people who call themselves half brethren, and others are full. So you find that these people are half. Almost like you might not know, because I also found out in I don't know the name of these people. I don't remember their names very well, but they are saying most of people who are doing the fasts, most of you who are doing fasting often are already brethren without knowing. You're already living in prana without knowing. Yeah, so it's just like a time of transition, but sometimes you might not transition fully. Sometimes we may not transition fully. But with Christian faith anyway, we feel, I also feel so. I feel that leave alone Jesus, Moses had to go to the wilderness, to the mountain, and had to calm down. So there's a point where you must just eat, you must just enjoy your food. I don't know, it is just a matter of choice. But if we'll get all the information about pranic living, the way we have for now dry fast, we are going to be, our attitudes and our practices will also change. So because they're saying it's an easy thing. It's not a difficult thing. It's just an easy thing. The only thing is there's a trick. There's a technique of that changing, which I'm yet to know. I've not yet known how the person can totally change. Like Vadim, staying for 200 days without eating, without drinking. 200 days. I don't know where that technique is. So for that, we are going to leave it maybe for another, because we are not brethren, we are just people who do dry fasting. We may leave it for another discussion. Maybe if somebody else has something to talk about before we can close about pranic lifestyle.
I think that, not to cut it off, I think that there's no way for people to really trust that anybody does anything until they do it themselves. You know, that's the whole thing, is like, it's a very solitary journey that you have to go away from family and friends, and then you learn yourself, you know, it's self-inquiry. And then that's the whole thing. That's the whole point of this existence, in my opinion, is just to learn yourself and understand the God that exists within you. So it's just kind of like, it's hard to really trust anybody. I mean, why even trust me? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's embarking on this journey and kind of slowly kind of getting more and more days. You'll learn for yourself, you know, and heal yourself in the process. Because then you become your true self. Your natural state is a clean state.
Yeah.
I think, sorry, I think that the main thing that everyone has to answer as a question to themselves is the question of what do they want to reach for? What is their goal? Because I think fasting is only a tool. It's not a goal for me. It's a tool to live optimum healthily on this earth. Not to, I don't want to go more days. This is, as Filonov said, there is an optimum that you can draw from and then use it in your daily life. So, for example, for you, maybe fasting is a goal to see whatever border you can reach for. But for the most people, I think the goal has to be to live healthily on earth and to do what they want to do in their lives. So this is only a tool to incorporate in order to be fit, in order to be healthy, in order to have maximum strength and focus, and to reach their goals. So if we turn fasting as only a method that we want to compete as something, what is the joy in fasting 50 days or 100 days? I don't understand. Why do you do that? What is the purpose of this? Is it a goal in itself, or is it a tool that you can use to optimize your life? So yeah. I think this talking about many days is not for everyone. Maybe it's specific for you, it's beneficial for you or for a few people, but for the most of the people, I don't think this is a beneficial thing to do. And I even don't think that it's possible for anyone to strive for this many long fasts. So yeah. I think it's a tool for health and for mindful focusing and clearing the mind and reaching some heights, but it's not something that we have to live on continually.
For me, I think that what it's exposed to me is how the body works and how to utilize it and more efficiently after the fast. So if you were to remove all language, if you remove like all the words like fasting, there's no word for fasting, there's no word for anything. Now there's just understanding. So it's just like you go about your life in the most you want to have as much energy as possible, and you want to be as clear-minded as possible, and you do whatever it takes to do that. So fasting 51 days is not really like it's not like something that's like an egotistical like level you should reach. It's more so like he did that for, you know, mental strength and to understand himself. And it's probably not for everybody. Everyone's on their own journey, you know? So initially it was a tool for me. So it's a tool for me to kind of discard disease. And now it's become more so of a mechanism I use to understand myself and kind of feel out how I want to live the rest of my life. You know, it's just how I can kind of achieve purity in a very safe format, because I'm personally not ready to be a breatharian. I'm not ready to go without that vitality that foods and liquids give me. So, you know, people can run into some issues with fasting, especially if they're trying to go for a lot of days initially. They're going to hurt themselves because they're just too toxic. But I do believe that, so I become more spiritual when I fast, right? I go longer days. And I'm not sure if you heard my last interview, but I do speculate that we came as spirits. You know, that's my theory. We came as spirits into this physical body. So we're used to being a spiritual state. So if, like, introducing food as an energy source is kind of a foreign thing. So if we kind of go back towards a spiritual nature where we're kind of clear again, then we're kind of going back towards our natural state. So the whole snake paradigm, the snake, when we're tempted to get the apple from the tree, the snake is the shape of the intestines, tempting you to get food, bringing you back down to earth. Food grounds you, and fasting like alleviates you so that you can actually become in that pure state again. So we got carried away. The apple turned into cheeseburgers and fries, and now we're constantly distracted from our pure natural state. So it's just kind of like an understanding rather than like a tool. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Can I say something?
Yes, I can add some more, but let's stay in the topic of Trevor, because I have different worldview. I think that people are here on earth, and there are 3 dimensions of spirit, soul, and body, and they are spiritual, and they are spirits ever living. They are living being in their spirits, but we are here on earth, and our only means by which we can operate on this earth is by our body. So if we strive to get more spiritual through abstaining of foods, I don't think this is the way, because I am also a Bible believing Christian, and in the Bible it says that the only spiritual door that we have is Jesus. And whatever we try to do, we cannot get more spiritual with our own efforts. We only get spiritual by trusting and by believing in his sacrifice on the cross. So this is different beliefs, and I don't want to enter into discussing them. But everyone, yes, has their own way, their own journey, and they can focus on different things into the fasting journey. But we have, I think when I hear all these calls now, I think we have to have in mind every time that what we speak and what we communicate to others may not be the truth for them. So yeah. I think this disclaimer has to be stated every time in the beginning for everyone to think with their own minds, because there are so many different states of the bodies, of the minds of the people. So we have to be careful what we communicate and what we state as a truth, because some people are very gullible and they will believe everything that they hear. But we have here with discretion to think critically about everything and not to receive everything as truth for everyone. For example, your experience is your experience. You have experienced it well, and other people may not experience it that way. For example, for me, fasting is very easy, but I know that for people that have different conditions, illnesses, and their bodies are in another states, they can experience drastically different things. So when I tell people my experience, I focus that it is only my experience, and maybe for them it will be different, difficult. So they have to experience it in their bodies differently.
Yeah, I think that, so there's one, I like going back to the simple concepts of, so breatharianism exists. That actually is something that can be achieved, so that's kind of like an important thing to know. like people actually achieve this state. The second thing is Jesus is my role model. I love Jesus. I think that he was also teaching us how to be in a pure state, and people don't really know about the bulk of his life. His family thought he was crazy for doing what he's doing. He's kind of running away from, home, and he's going on these hikes, and he doesn't like how the current state of affairs are. So politics is just kind of in shambles. They have all these restrictions on you. But he's kind of embarking on these little mini retreats where he's bringing people on these like 7-day dry fasts, and they're using wine gaskets to perform enemas. So he's teaching people how to purify themselves to be without demons and darkness within their body. So I think that he was doing all sorts of crazy secrets that he's learned from being a part of this Essenes group, that they kind of preserve this information. They're obsessed with ancient texts. So it's kind of like, I think that Christ-mindedness is something to seek after. And I think that he was showing us the blueprint. Everyone should be like him, because we're all one. Like we should follow in his footsteps. And I think that we all are extensions of God, really. Like God is experiencing himself through you, and you're finding your way back to him. Jesus Christ was just a very elevated consciousness that is a good teacher. We all should be exactly like him, and he's constantly seeking purity. So, and that's exactly what I find myself doing as well. It's just constantly seeking purity so that my spirit, because when you drink alcohol, for instance, your spirit and your mind are altered as well. You kind of start slurring your words, you become more unintelligent. So what does that say? That means your physical body has an impact on your spirit. So you should take that like kind of with a shaker of salt, being like, how pure can I get my body to make my spirit as pure and as clear-minded as possible? I don't know, that's just my perspective.
I just want to say something. You see, from what I have gotten from, we have too many translations from Russian that we need to get, because only the things that are written in English are the things we can find. But I've already seen a conflict. I'm already detecting a conflict, because what I've realized with the Russian fasting style, like the one we are talking about, is called medical dry fast. And that medical dry fast has its, we call them contraindications and indications. That people cannot fast, that people can fast. We are not going on to that one. There's also the issue of the number of days, because what Dr. Finalov is telling us is not just from him, it's from what other doctors have practiced over time. And they're saying they say that after the 11th day, there's nothing much for medical. There's nothing they gain from medical. So I know where Gervana is coming from, as in from what we have been told, what we have read, what we have practiced, and our culture. So where Trevor is going, and this is now the risky part, because the risky part in this manner, this is his journey. That's why we don't want to teach him his journey. we just want to know his journey, how he has done, because sometimes we are not saying that if Trevor's done now 20 days, now I'm going to do 20 days. No. Though Satmaga, who is also in this path of two prolonged dry fast, going beyond 12 days and beyond from what we have known, say that he increases the circle over time. It's not something that he did within a year or two. It is something that he did like a person who is training for, how I say, gym or something, lifting. Yeah. So you start little by little, as you increase that weight, little by little, like that. So these are people who are doing fasting not for medical reasons at this point, because from Dr. Fidalov's point, medical dry fast, 9 days enough. If it is, if you go until 11, that's over. So I think we are less just getting a story, and I know that's where the conflict comes in. Then the other thing is, from personal perspective, from personal experience. At this time, if you ask somebody to do fast, a person is just coming from the normal eating diet that you have here, that's just full of junk and all these fats and and the caffeine and all this person is going to get hurt. This person is going to get hurt. The kidneys are going to get hurt. This person is not going to get out very well. So from my point of view, we need to balance. We know there are people who cannot just be told to fast because they are not yet in that pure state in their body. They have not yet done cleaning, detoxification, and all that. Then there's a group of people who are fasting to heal themselves. Then there's another group of people who are fasting for spiritual reasons. This is a person who might not just even be very strict. Another one can be very strict. So somebody can be just like, just doing it for 5 days or 3 days. If you check on the Bible, there were times that Israelites were fasting. And the whole nation, even today, they do what's called Yom Kippur, 25 hours fast, dry fast, total dry fast, called total absolute fast. No eating, no, they don't even put sandals, they don't put what, they just pray and repent. So because of our cultural backgrounds, and this thing is also new to us, we need to pay attention a little bit. We need to pay attention a little bit. But I thank you, Gavina, because of also what you have said. I think one of the most important things that I've gotten from your point is the intention of the fast. The intention of the fast. We don't want to fast to prove anything. We are fasting for us to become more light being. We're fasting so that we can express more love. There's something else I wanted to talk about, Trevor. I don't know if you are getting this challenge because this is now a fasting community. We're just trying to share our ideas here in the fasting community. But then if you go outside there, where they don't believe in dry fast. Actually, there are some places that I try to share this. They tell me, you can't share Facebook communities. You can't share this, that title, dry fast. That's a dangerous thing. And they are not accepting. Banned.
Yeah.
So, yeah. At this point, there's something I really wanted us to talk about, because if you can if you can do this on the next fast, it is going to be a very good thing. It's not going to prove anything, but we can do this way. If you can get a medical school, record, not supervise, but how will I call it? They'll be there to see that this guy is fasting, and then we write an article can be written about this issue. I don't know if you can borrow such like an idea. Then it will be able to communicate, especially on the fasting, to the states. US, I'm sure so many people don't know this thing. So many people don't know this thing. And you are like the person who is now the light there. And you need to know all these things. You need to know the medical dry fast, the way it is done, and all the contraindications and indications. And you are the ones who's going to bring up this thing very strongly, because I've also realized that all the videos we're doing here, yours is the most watched. I told you. Why? Because we are talking English. You are a person, they know this is a guy from US. They believe in you. People coming from Russia, we are trying, but they don't believe so much from outside. The people in the US don't believe people from outside so well, but they believe in you because you are from them. And how will you prove this? You'll have to bring what the institution that they know and they believe in. I'm just giving you an idea. If you think it's going to be workable, you can do it. You can even do a 7-day dry fast with them, just with the medical team. It's not a must you do very long. And bring them, and they write an article, they bring it to the television. This guy is saying something here. Then it will be a communication. It will be a communication to the rest of the world. I don't know what idea. What do you think?
I mean, I've ironically enough, I've already gotten a lot of my friends and family to do a 7-day dry fast. That's kind of like looking back on it. I'm like, this is kind of crazy. My friends and family have done a 7-day dry fast, and I used to think that was monstrous, But I would be totally happy for any medical team to observe it. Honestly, I could always be a person who doesn't disclose anything at all. I could obviously not have any social media presence at all. I would still embark on this journey. I'm just kind of exposing it so that people can utilize it in any way they see fit. And the conversations I have with Gergana, I actually, that's my favorite things to talk about, Gergana, and I appreciate, these kind of things. But yeah, no, I think that for me, like 9 days, what I want to say is this: I love Dr. Filanov, but there's no like ultimate, Michael Jordan of fasting where they can just tell you all the information. Like there's things where I don't really agree with that he says as well, even though he's had patients for me, my medical condition required longer than 9 or 11 days. And I have, pictures and proof of that, where autophagy was actually hitting after 11 days. Is risky to recommend, because if you're a doctor, there's so many lawyers out there that'll sue you based on anything that can happen with a client or patient. So it's a weird thing to even talk about, and this isn't medical advice. I even have to say this isn't medical advice, but the thing is, this is my journey, and it required longer than 11 days. So that's just my experience. But I'm totally down for observation during my fast. I've done blood tests and stuff like that. I wrote a book with like pictures of my tongue and how my tongue evolves over a fast, which also required longer than 11 days. So it's just like, until your tongue will become white, and then it'll become discolored and red based on the conditions you have. Your organs could have some failure, and your tongue discloses that. And until your tongue turns pink again, that's when the fasting is finished. I'm not sure if people know that, and sometimes you can't get it all done in one fast. Sometimes you got to break it if other factors come into play. Maybe you get inundated with toxicity, or your heart has palpitations. It's time to break the fast until you can safely go about that process.
If anybody else has a question, and this thing, I think it should be done even in all the other nations that have just getting the issue of dry fast. It is very okay to be observed. Just tell okay, Joyce, do you have a question?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but it's a comment.
Okay.
With my observation, I'm not an experienced faster at all. But there's something, the reason I'm following Trevor is because I said this to him also. It's because I've realized that I didn't know until I met him through Zoom on his last interview that the body really can stretch that much. So I think it's just to appreciate that, me just watching people that can go longer than me, as I can do like 3-5 days. So people that can go longer like him, I'm learning every day that I will eventually be healed. My body can go further until I'm fully healed. So I just want to say we appreciate that, and we need people like that that are able to push themselves further, to teach us that are fearful, so that we don't just follow science all the time, but follow how we feel. Because I've been so scared, thinking, at first I thought 3 days would kill. I realized it doesn't. Now I know that 11 days is possible. But now I've known now with Trevor that 20 days is possible for me to be healed. So it's just to appreciate.
Yeah, I have a friend that Trevor knows, Peltoma Colleen. Trevor, do you know that lady?
Oh yeah, I know Colleen. She's awesome. We talk all the time.
Peltoma has 20 days, and she's now, like, she was trying to tell me it's a new standard. It's a new standard. So I'm like, okay, something is up here. It's just like, I'm just feeling it's just like the way you are taking a person from a person has never died at dry fast, and they will be feeling like, no, you want to kill me. Then taking this thing from now the medical dry fast level, to push it beyond that level now, that now takes again another all the other, it's called what, another strength, another, all knowledge must be now different from what now we know. But at least for now, most of us just want to be well. Most of the people in this group are people who are seeking for medical attention, medical help through dry fast. So I know it's going to do them well much. They listen and they gather information from every point and get the right information and use the right information. People must be given a chance to choose, so we don't silence anyone. Yeah, exactly. Trevor, what do you want to say, Trevor?
Yeah, I think they do. And I experience people like Joyce all the time, honestly, where people are appreciative of showing that this can be done. The limitations are extended, and it kind of gives people more faith and confidence, which is what I needed when I first started fasting, because I'm walking in faith. There's not much literature on this kind of topic, right? It's very controversial. So I think that it's a trusting process, to kind of trust your body to go farther, and like, is this possible? Have I been tricked? Or like, is this something that even works. And then when you start seeing the progress and the symptoms relieve or your lymph nodes completely deflame, you're like, oh, damn, this actually is beneficial. And lo and behold, you needed nothing all along. All these supplements, all these medications, like Hippocrates said, like, if you're not your own doctor, you're a fool. And I really firmly believe that. But like I said before, the good news is there is a way, there is a cure, but the bad news is that it's hardcore. So this is a perspective shift. So like, we're all eating and drinking in this group right now. So we are kind of temporarily entering this state and then going back to our original state, which is eating and drinking. But we're kind of like snagging a cure real quick before returning, when in reality, I think it should be flipped, you know, where we actually are constantly in that state and eating lighter foods like that woman you were talking about. And you're constantly have flow, like everything's flowing, there's no blockages. And then, you know, returning back to that state. You know, it's just there's not much information on it. That's why it can be kind of dangerous, the whole breatharian movement, but it has to be a slow progress. So, I mean, the other example I was gonna say is I have a ton of people coming to me with like COVID symptoms that had it like last year, and they can't taste or smell still to this day. And so this is a concept that Phil and I kind of agree upon, which is there is amount of days that you can go to get your senses back, and it's 9 to 10 days where you actually get your taste and your smell back. And I've helped many people out in that capacity, which is kind of crazy. There's a lot of people with that right now. They can't taste or smell anything. It's crazy.
That goes with is that COVID issues? Are they those are things that are after a person has okay, recovering from COVID.
Well, you think about it. You think about it, it's just like there's a huge business. It's $1 trillion business. We can't deny that. Pharmaceutical industry is a very, very profitable business. So what's the most profitable thing you can do is by having lifelong customers. So what's the best way to do that? You know, you can have, you know, it's going to sound very conspiracy theorist, but if you develop certain viruses that stay within the body and you actually need a certain product that they produce, that's very good business. That's very good marketing. And now you have a lifelong customer. The bad news for them, though, is that there is a way to dissolve any virus that they possibly manufacture by fasting. It's just that's the kind of this is why humanity needs to know this information, is because there's bad business out there, and we can counteract that with the right tools, you know. And so that's where dry fasting can be viewed as a tool, like Kurgana said, to fight off people who want to get richer, you know.
Exactly. And you see, if we just let everybody know the truth, then they choose. It's upon them to now choose. That's why we have these meetings. That's why we broadcast them. We put them on the YouTube, everywhere, Facebook, so that people can just take time. But you see, the main thing, the problem is programmed. A brain that is programmed, the mind that is programmed, opening up for dry fast is like, no. You people are advocating for something very bad. So there are some people, I think, because, and that's why it's arresting people, because taking their attention, not arresting them, but arresting their hearts is easier with a disease. When a person gets sick and then they don't get a solution in the conventional way, they then realize that, whatever way I'm going to pay the price, no matter the whatever I'm going to be told.
Yeah,
I don't care. Yeah. So you find that these are the people that talking to is easier. Those people who have now known the truth that you've just told us, that they've realized that the outside there they can't be helped. The only money they're just taking your money, and their medicine or whatever pills are not helping you, and they have already told you this is incurable, this cannot be helped. I don't know, this one does not have an answer. That is when our person's attention can be easily. We can get a person easily through that now, so that this is a person who can listen to you. But a person who is very healthy, who is doing everything, is thinking that it's okay, they may not pay attention. Maybe even worry, what quacks are these? They call us. They call people like us. People are quacks.
I think
anyway,
Sienna had a question real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, Sienna has a question.
Thank you. Hi, it's actually Annie that has the question this time. So I'm listening to you share, Trevor, and just really appreciating so much of your experience and your journey. And something that I'm really fascinated by, I just heard you say a few minutes ago about how, and I've heard you say in various different ways, how we come to this place where we realize we don't need anything from the outside. We become more connected with the source within. And I'm really curious, though, at the same time, there's this interesting dynamic where there is still an exchange of things coming from the outside. Like, for example, on your fast, you're not eating, you're not drinking, but the environment, the air, the people around you, other types of external input were really significantly affecting you. So I was, and then there are on one hand, people who maybe aren't even necessarily fasters, we could say meditators, who encourage us to take an approach that kind of like, no matter what is happening around us, that we can still be in our practice. So I'm wondering, like, how does that dynamic, like, how do you feel yourself in that dynamic right now? Or how has fasting shaped or changed for you the way you understand in general the external inputs? And like, to what degree, on one hand, we maybe are not eating or drinking, but there's still a desire and importance to control certain external elements. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts to share about that dynamic in general.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question right there. I think you hit the nail on the head. I didn't realize that these dynamics were even possible.
Trevor, 1 minute. We can't see you for quite a long time. Is there a problem with your video or?
Oh.
I can see him.
I can see him.
Okay.
I didn't know these dynamics even existed, to kind of say the entry point for me, until I did a longer dry fast. I thought I was kind of like all good to go. My energy's all set, and I'm praying and everything's good. But then I realized, oh shit, like I got the world turned upside down when I realized, I was like, damn, God exists within me when I did a longer fast. I was like, and then I was able to feel my dad's presence when I was like 12 days in, and my dad passed away. And I was just like, there's something here. And then I started kind of being more open to these kind of mechanisms, to the point where I'm taking energy from the sun and through breath and through all these modalities. But this has just been my path. I think that we all kind of figure out our own path. People who are very elite meditators are able to kind of find their own way there, and that is possible. My meditation abilities have greatly enhanced since I started fasting, because I think it's just a matter of like, oh, I know myself more. I know God a little more. So therefore I know how to tune into that frequency, and that's kind of like what it all is for me. So even to the point where if say someone does like a lot of psychedelic drugs and they enter a bad trip, they're already existing within that frequency to start off with. They're just entering into the frequency that they're already inhabiting. So like you can be in a great frequency in a sober mind, that is always accessing the frequency of love, so you're connecting your frequency to the frequency of love. And if you're staying in that form, that means you're existing in the present and not the future or past. So I feel like I'm able to just kind of stay in a mode of gratitude. And that's really all it is for me, it's removing all the dependencies that I had. And I kind of have a mantra where I have no wants, I have no desires. Thank you for this life experience. I have no wants, I have no desires. Thank you for this life experience. And that really tunes me into that frequency. And then I kind of stay there as long as I can and just download wisdom and epiphanies as they come, so hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, I was mostly just curious on your thoughts, so thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's pretty much my MO. So I think the whole goal is to be like a walking meditation. So you're constantly aware of your ego and what it wants. I kind of consider my ego to be an octopus. So as soon as I latch onto all these things I identify with, I'm trying to sever these identities that I have, and therefore go back towards nothingness, so I'm kind of in the state of meditation. And then when I experience God, he feels like just like a master meditator, where it's just like a great white light that's just in a state of never wanting or desire anything, the master manifester, to manifest this entire universe. And I have a theory that at the end of our conscious evolution, we realize that we are the ones who created the universe. And it may sound like a prima donna thing to think, but I think that if we are all one, and if he is experiencing himself through us, once we finally merge, we realize we are the ones that created this universe. It's just our job to enjoy it. We just need to enjoy the creation and just like live in the love. And that's the challenge. So few of us can achieve that. And I don't mean to sound preachy, but like not many people can abstain from things. It's really hard to abstain from things that you're addicted to: coffee, food, water, whatever it might be. People have all sorts of dependencies.
Yeah. So, this is Judy. Judy is saying, thank you. This call is so powerful. Lots of love and healing energies sent to all. I don't know if that was sent to everyone. Yeah, that's sent to all of us. That's sent to everyone. And anybody who has a question or has a comment, a compliment, anything you want to tell Trevor or tell all of us here, because I know hey, we have had a marathon day today. You have never had it before like this. There are 2 calls.
So I have one last question for Trevor. He said about meditation and emptying himself of wanting and of desire. So after that, do you receive new desires and new wants that you want to manifest into the world? Because I think this is the point of life.
Yeah, and it kind of comes down to the whole teachings of any religion is they want other people to experience joy and love constantly, living with that frequency. That's really what it comes down to for me, is I want people to experience that loving frequency constantly. And I think that there's so many distractions physical manifestations that are inhabiting these parasites. And for me, I was experiencing constant depression and sadness based on a microorganism that was inhabiting my body. And understanding how to purify your mind and body to get your thoughts back, to get your mind back, I think it's a powerful thing. So I just want people to have the tool to understand how they can heal themselves without any other doctor, any of the pharmaceutical pill. And then therefore what ends up happening is that they end up finding God in the process. So it's kind of like a beautiful 1-2 punch. So it's just kind of allowing, by me doing this path and exposing my story, my testimony, I kind of I feel like I'm allowing people to know that they can reach a little farther, to heal themselves and regain their sense of clarity, their sense of spirit, in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. I just want other people to heal themselves as well, because I feel like disease and sickness is about to become a little bit more abundant in our world because it's utilized for control. So that's my whole thing.
Good. Anyone else has a question or a compliment?
I have a question.
Yes.
So Trevor, do you really feel like fully healed now physically? Like I know in the past video you were saying it was for healing, but I realized now it's more spiritual. Like, do you physically feel now I'm completely healed, so I'm just going to continue keeping fasting to keep the spiritual state, maybe?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I just want to, it's like getting a taste of something that you want more of. Like I want to stay in this clear-minded spiritual state, so therefore I need to kind of do a fasting lifestyle. I still eat and I still drink, but they're always foods that process very quickly. They're not stagnant or staying in my system. I do, colon cleansing every single Sunday. But yeah, I forget your question. Can you repeat the question again, Joyce?
No, the question was, do you feel like physically healed from whatever you were sick of before? Yeah.
It's the only thing that I feel now is if I have like an unclean colon, but like before it was hell. It was just 99% of the time I'm thinking about this disease, the sicknesses in my body. And there's other small things that were healed even when I totally forgot about them. Like for instance, I had like yeah, I had like some kind of like rash fungal kind of thing that would happen under my eyes, you know, for some reason. I had it for like 5 years, and the dermatologist didn't know what to do with it. They gave me antibiotics for a month and stuff like that. And I forgot about it. I forgot that I had that. Now it's completely gone. Now I can put like any lotion, anything that's kind of like irritable around that area, and it won't do anything. It won't rash out or anything like that. And also I had like some kind of like protein polyps in my body that got eaten by autophagy as well. What else? Yeah, there was also certain kind of like calcified lymphatic parts of my body that were dissolved as well. It's just kind of amazing how much the body will eat these blockages when you're in a fast. You're like, go body, go, and you got to sustain it. But yeah, no, I feel great. The only time I feel bad is when my colon is unclean, and then I'm like, I need to do a colon cleansing. But yeah.
So on the food, just another one on the food. Like you're saying, you're trying to eat clean now. What do you eat? Like, what kind of meals do you have now?
So I kind of so each day I kind of start with the whole shilajit tea, which is just like that little concoction. And then I kind of graduate into fruits. I'll have like, I'm obsessed with oranges. I think so. Gandhi, when he broke the fast, the 21-day fast, he would break it with diluted orange juice, fresh orange juice, because oranges are actually like the most complete food in the world, in my opinion. The hydration, they have they're high glycemic, they give you the energy, and they give you they're just they have the citrus in it to break down any kind of mucoid. Any kind of mucus in the body. So I have a lot of oranges in the morning, and then I graduate to a meal at like 1 p.m., maybe 2 p.m. usually. And I'll have, I want to build my body. I don't want to be like a little skinny guy. So I like to have quinoa. I'll have avocado a lot. I'll make coconut yogurt where I'll put like a probiotic in the yogurt, and I'll kind of just have it sit out for a week, and it kind of exponentially manifests in like a highly probiotic environment. So I like drink that coconut yogurt pretty often, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then I pretty much won't have a meal past like 7 p.m. So, and I'll kind of snack on dates and oranges, and I'll make juices like every day. Apple juice with ginger, tons of ginger. And I'll make grape juice with tons of ginger. And I'll make some, cucumber juice or celery juice, whatever I'm feeling for that day. So that's pretty much it. But yeah, I found my fat. I'll eat kind of like lentils every now and then to build as well, but usually just kind of like raw vegan if I can, because I'm not trying to burn out the enzymes in food. I'm not trying to eat dehydrated foods. I'm just trying to have hydration in my body that's constantly flowing and fluid.
Interesting. Thank you.
Good. If there are no more questions, maybe we conclude our meeting today. Do you have anything else that you have to tell us? Maybe Trevor, before we can wrap it up.
There was like an interesting concept that I came across recently with Elatom, which is he's breatharian, according to him, and he was saying like he's like, I'm never thirsty, and you know why? It's because I don't have any mucus. And it really hit me when he said that, because I suffered from a mucus parasite. It was a mycoplasma pneumonia that was no antibiotic was working against. And I was like, damn, like I was actually hydrating myself so that that parasite could travel more effectively throughout the body. And so now I have Elatom, who's not hydrating at all, and he doesn't have any mucus at all. And I was like, damn, like, and I realized that I've gotten less and less thirsty over the course of my dry fasting. And it's because there's nothing in me that's kind of like begging for that hydration so that it's able to travel more easily. I'm not sure if that makes sense at all, but I think that there's a good balance between hydration and also feeding microorganisms that want that hydration. And I think that dry fasting is the way to kill it, and so that you can actually regain normal hydration, which is just for you and not for them.
That's wonderful.
That's all. I appreciate you very much for having me on, and it's always a fun time.
Wow, it's wonderful. We are going to have connect again, but I think I'm going to talk to you privately on that issue of medical team. It is going to send this message very fast if they will borrow it. You see, sometimes they might not borrow it. Maybe they already know. You understand. You understand.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, thank you. I think we just wrap it up. Those things I wanted to show you, they're ready, but we have taken so long today. So I know we have another time. I will show you the things I wanted to show you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you. Thank you, Frederick.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
See you, Judith.
Bye.